Alright guys, I got this motor out. I got all the parts off of it I needed. I bought a replacement flywheel. I got that from, oh, where did I get that from? PRW Power Sportsman. So this is what I got for that. And then the oil sending unit, those have filters in them and they get plugged. So it's smarter for me to do and change this now, put a new filter in there. The filter that was in there wasn't, I mean, if you change your oil regularly and don't put shit in there, whatever, it's not going to get clogged. But, you know, some people don't know what they're doing when it comes to changing oil and stuff like that. But yeah, change your oil and don't wait for the freaking car to tell you to change your oil, because then it's too late. You want to change your oil every 3,000 miles tops. That's pushing it. But about every 2,000 miles, you want to change your oil. I don't care what the factories say. But anyways, I bought these aluminum plates, and they bolt in to where the motor mount was on there. There's actually 4 bolts, but the other ones are back behind there. But then you take the motor mount off the engine over there, and you bolt it on here. And I measured from the edge of this edge here back to the back of the block, and I got the same distance within about a 1/16 of an inch. So it should be fine. When you're going to put this in, make sure all the stuff back here is out of the way. Yes, I cut those wires because they went to the transmission, and I am not using the electronic transmission. I'm using the 700R4 that came with this pickup truck, because 2 reasons. On the LS and the Suburban, the transfer 4-wheel drive shaft was on the driver's side, but on this pickup truck here, it's on the passenger side. So if I was to use the other transmission, I would have to do a whole bunch of cobbling, probably change the front axle out and everything. So it's smarter for me to use the transmission that came with this truck. Not only that, but I know that this transmission was rebuilt. See, back in 2013, when I went through automotive technology, I rebuilt this transmission. So I know it's good to go. Let's see, what else is there? We might have to update the brakes depending on what is recommended. I'll look that stuff up. But I'd like to keep the brakes the way they are, but you never know. Now this thing does have cruise control. I don't think it worked when I was here or when I had it. It's not a big deal. I don't really care about cruise control too much. It is nice to have, and I could probably get this to work or replace this with a new piece. I would have loved to have taken this out while I had it out. I probably could have. It wouldn't take too much time, but then you got to get a plate to cover that all up and everything. So for the meantime, this is just the way it's going to be. Before I stick this motor in, I've got one more thing I got to do to this engine, and that's this right here. But anyways, just wanted to give you an update on what I changed over so far. Now, in order for me to get the computer, which I haven't done yet, and everything lined up, you have to know what injectors you're running. These are factory injectors. So I knew that. But the one thing I didn't know, you got to know the mass airflow sensor. And you also need to know the rear end. I don't think it's going to matter much with this because I'm using a totally hydraulic transmission. But they want to know what the rear end gears are in this thing. And until I was actually able to get the truck out of the field where it was sitting and here in the shop, I wasn't able to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, basically what you do, real simple. Yeah, I cut all these tires off because I'm not using these rims. I'm actually going to be using the rims, or not the rims, but the tires off of the Suburban. So I've got new 17-inch rims for this coming, and we're going to be replacing this box too, so don't worry about the rust. This is going to go. But anyways, what you do is you go under to your to your drive shaft there, and you mark a spot on there, and then you jack up the rear end and you turn this wheel one complete turn. Okay, so like say for instance you put this to the very tip top, the air valve to the very straight top, and then you just spin this around one time, and as you spin this around you count how many times that drive shaft turns, and that's how you figure out the gear ratios inside the differential there, or the rear end gears. So I have not done that yet, but I will do that before I go inside tonight, just because I can order the computer and the wiring harness. And the company I'm going through, I'll let you guys know that again, but they program the computer and they make the wiring harness right there in their shop, custom, and it's really not expensive. I think if I remember correctly, the computer is like $200 and some, have it programmed, and then the wiring harness is like $300 to $400 depending on what we're going to be running. But speaking of things, I wanted to explain a few things here on this my junk pile here. There is a bolt. It's hard to see up in there, but there was a bolt that had this ground right up inside here, and I could not get this in. The plate would not go flush up against it because that bolt was there. So I had to remove that ground bolt. Now remember, I'm going to be changing the wiring harness on this thing anyway, so regardless, not everything is going to stay the same, and half these wires are going to disappear because you just don't need all this wiring running it old school like this. And on this side, I had to remove the air conditioner pump, which I'm not going to use anyways. And there was a connector, or a bolt hole right here, and I had to grind it down because if you can see, it was sticking out too far, and it wouldn't let it wouldn't let the mount go in. The plate went on just fine on this side, but this mount wouldn't here, so I had to grind that down. So I had to do that too. Let's see if there's anything else that I can let you guys know what else I did here. As far as I know, when I bought the Suburban back in 2010, yeah, 2010 is when I bought the Suburban. My mom wasn't in very good health, and she wasn't able to drive anymore. My dad was losing his vision, and he wasn't able to drive anymore, so I bought their vehicle from them, and I replaced the water pump on this because the water pump was leaking at the time. So this has a newer water pump on it, But we'll see what happens when I get it in there and actually get this thing running, because it's going to be at least another month before I'm able to work on this thing again, because I got to wait for the computer and the wiring harness. Oh yeah, one more thing that they wanted to know about the for the computer programming and everything. They want to know the mass airflow sensor that you're using, and I'm going to be using the factory one. So those are some things on this website, and like I said, I will share the website in my next video. But anyways, I've pretty much been doing this by myself. I had my oldest son and his half-brother kind of helped me a little bit. His half-brother cut the tires and stuff off the rims for me. And then my oldest son and I, this is his property, and anyways, he's got tractors and skid loaders and all kinds of stuff out here, and I'm not going to disclose what this area is, because technically he doesn't own this property, but he he owns a house. When I moved away from this area here, I sold him my house, and he also owns a duplex. So I'm 50 and he's in his 20s, and he's doing pretty good for himself. So probably a lot better than I am, actually. But anyways, yeah, he's a boss. He runs a business out here, and this is just something he allows me to do every once in a while. Of course, he don't like it when I don't finish projects and have to leave, but he kind of knew that this was going to be a half-ass project and then getting it done. So my next video will actually be this motor sitting inside the engine compartment. I am not going to button it in. I am going to put a few bolts here and there in the transmission and the motor mount bolts in just to secure it. And then I'm going to throw the hood back on this thing, and then we're going to pull it out. We're going to put it back by his pickup truck that he's got sitting there for a project. But so anyways, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just wanted to share this little bit of information, because like I said, when I searched on the internet, I had to watch like 16 different videos or more just to get good details on what to do. And so I'm trying to show you guys what I learned along the way and things that I found out throughout watching like all those different videos. This way you guys can kind of see the project as it goes along. And it doesn't take very long to do this. I'd probably have this engine sitting in there and the truck already out in the back 40 already, if I wasn't explaining things and sharing with you guys. But hey, somebody needs to share this stuff. So my next video, like I said, will actually be the vehicle or the engine in the compartment, and kind of half-ass buttoned in, just enough to get the vehicle out of here, because tomorrow I got to go home. I have to go back to work here this weekend, and I want to be able to relax a day before I go back to work. But then, like I said, about a month from now, I'll be watching for more of these videos to come through. So, I think that's about all I got for right now. And be very, very cautious when you guys pull these out. I should have probably stripped this down a little bit, but I'm not necessarily lazy, but I didn't have a lot of time and I needed to get this done. Like I said, I know how this engine ran. It sat for about 3.5 years, And the other day when I started up, it ran really good. No issues. Oh, and I don't remember if I showed this or not either, but the oil level light was on, and this is what I discovered. It looked like either a mouse chewed this wire off. Here's the other wire. Or it got caught on something when we pulled it out of the weeds, because this is underneath the car, so it's hard to say, but I'm going to be getting a new sensor here. This is easy to get to from the bottom of the pickup truck, so I'm not going to change it now. Oh, there's the cat. Got a little dirty. Poor thing. Just so you know, the cat didn't do it itself. My granddaughter decided to soak her in some oil to give her a bath. And yeah, we're not like harsh punishments, but yeah, she got a spanking, and we washed the cat. So she will never wash the cat in oil again. It's horrible. And we need to wash the cat again. But this cat's got full claws. It's a male. It's a loving cat. But yeah, if you've ever tried to give a cat a bath, yeah, it was fun. So, and then not only that, the other things that kind of took a little bit of time is that it snowed. It was kind of a blizzard here. Didn't snow a whole lot, but it was pretty foggy, and it was blowing pretty good. You couldn't see nothing. So we had to clear the driveway. We had to do a bunch of stuff here. And then I've had to go to town a couple different times to get parts. In fact, I had to go to town to get the stud here, which is sitting over on the barrel over there that I'm using as a table. So anywho, keep looking for my next video. Like I said, probably the end of January. We'll be back on this project again. So this project is basically for my youngest son, who is 14 and learning to drive. And I'm 5'5", and so far the only child I have that's shorter than me. Even my 14-year-old son is taller than me. Is my daughter, but possibly going to be taller than me in the long run anyway. So yeah, and I won't show them on my videos. I have some older videos that I have out with them as younger, but as they get older, if they don't want to be in a video, then I'm not going to show them. Like I said, and not only that, but like this place here, it isn't my son's property, but he manages the stuff on this farm. And so he actually lives here, but he doesn't own this property. But like I said, he does own other property, so he's doing pretty good for himself. Anyways, I'm going to let you go. Have a good night, day, whatever time you watch this, and keep watching for the next one to come out to see how it turns out. All right, bye.